An aged lion lay collapsed beneath the sweltering sun, his chest barely rising as thick coils of a monstrous python constricted tighter with every second. The sound of his bones creaking beneath the relentless pressure was the only thing he could hear, his vision reduced to a narrowing blur of golden grass and shadow. The snake, a massive predator with gleaming scales like polished stone, was methodical, cold, and final. Death seemed inevitable. Only a few paces away, 5 massive gorillas stood rooted to the earth. Their black forms were like carved statues, unmoving against the vibrant green of the savanna. At their center stood the silverback, a hulking leader, his hair streaked with the wisdom of age, his expression unreadable. His eyes, however, did not flinch from the brutal scene. He did not move. He only watched. There was no roar, no charge, just silence. But on this day, something ancient was about to break. Once, the lion had been a sovereign of this land. His roars had shaken trees. His golden mane shimmered in the cell, dawn light like fire. He ruled a vast territory, fathered cubs, led hunts, and defended his pride with unmatched might. But time, indifferent and cruel, had gnawed at his strength. Days before, younger lion, stronger, ruthless, had driven him out in a storm of claws and roars. Now he wandered alone, wounded, reduced to a fading shadow of the king he once was. The grove where he had collapsed was calm, an oasis of green amidst the dry expanse. The gorilla troop lived here in rhythm, in peace. Mothers foraged, young ones played, and the silverback kept watch. It was the silverback who noticed the lion first stumbling, limping, breathing hard. Yet there was no aggression in his gaze. Only curiosity, perhaps even recognition. It was not pity. It was something older. From a distance, Ranger Alex lowered his binoculars. He had tracked this lion for years, knew him when he was king, and watched him fall. Alex also saw the python. He knew what was coming. The serpent struck with terrifying speed. A lion barely had time to react. One moment he stood, the next he was ensnared. Muscles like steel cables crushed his ribs as the air was forced from his lungs. He fought weakly, his claws skimming uselessly across the serpent's armor-like skin. Alex clenched the steering wheel of his jeep, helpless. Among the gorillas, the silverback's chest rose and fell with a slow rhythm. His body tensed. This was not his battle. Gorillas did not intervene. They watched. That was the law of the wild. And then, with a soft grunt, the silverback turned his back to the scene. He gestured to his troop. It was time to leave. Alex watched, sorrowful but unsurprised. Nature was following its script. Then the python shifted. Its head slithered forward, seeking the lion's skull, ready for the final suffocating bite. It was the last act of a merciless predator. The silverback paused. Something in that movement, in the precision of death, changed everything. He turned again, eyes now alight with a storm. A low growl rose from deep in his chest, not of fear, but of command. The gorillas froze. The savanna stilled. Then the silverback charged. The earth shook beneath him. Every stride was thunder. He reached the python, ignored its writhing coils, and went for the tail. His massive hands locked around it, anchoring his feet into the dirt. With an explosive pull, he yanked the snake backward. The sudden force startled the predator. The coils loosened. That was the moment the troop needed. In a blur of movement, 4 gorillas surged forward. Their actions were not wild or chaotic. They were precise. One pulled at the coil wrapped around the lion's neck. Another worked at the midsection. Together, they unraveled the deadly grip. The python thrashed, hissed, struck, but it was outnumbered, outmaneuvered, outwilled. With a final collective effort, The gorillas freed the lion and flung the snake into the tall grass. Dazed, the python slithered away, vanishing into the bush. Silence. The lion lay still. No breath, no movement. The gorillas stood panting, their broad chests heaving, their eyes fixed on the broken figure before them. Then they did something no one could have expected. They surrounded him, not as predators, not as conquerors, but as guardians. They formed a semicircle around the lion's limp body. Alex, stunned, drove forward. He stepped out of his vehicle, cautiously. The gorillas did not flee. They did not growl. They simply watched. He approached slowly, speaking in calm tones, raising his hands in peace. He knelt beside the lion. With practiced care, he examined the wounds, cleaned the bruises, and checked for signs of life. And then a breath. The lion's chest shuddered. His eyes fluttered open, glazed with pain but unmistakably alive. Alex exhaled with disbelief. As he stepped back, one young gorilla crept forward. Tentatively, it reached out and touched the lion's mane. Gently, softly, not as a threat, as a witness to something beyond instinct. In that moment, Alex understood. This was no random act of survival. This was something deeper. Empathy had shattered the rules. Compassion had silenced the law of tooth and claw. And somewhere in that savanna, a new law had been born, not written in dominance, but in defiance of it. If this story moved you, stay with us for more untold wonders of the wild world. Next, we explore the astonishing emotional depth of elephants, the giants with memories that never fade.